Okay. I hope this is working. All right. Good afternoon. Today, I will present. My name is Destiny Williams, and I will be presenting directive play therapy intervention called the Feelings, Detective, and Coping Toolbox activity. So, like Coping School Toolbox, which is grounded in the CBT play therapy. This intervention helps kids and students identify and pinpoint their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and behaviors while developing coping skills, right, and picking through them, whichever one applies in the setting. So, like school, home, this can be done in a various of settings. CBPT integrates developmental theory while cognitive behavioral strategies and uses play therapy as a developmentally appropriate method to facilitate emotional regulation and behavioral change. So it's just very developmentally appropriate, right? And it can be changed to fit the various developmental stages. So this intervention specifically will helps and very effective, especially in schools, i.e., school counselor. I use it a lot in schools when dealing with students or children who have anxiety, who have been through trauma, who are currently in crisis in trauma settings, emotional who suffer from emotional dysregulation due to that, behavioral challenges and adjustment stressors. This sounds like a melting pot of the public school system. So that's the setting I'm in. So that's why this intervention is very effective for me when I have students ranging from grades pre-K through eighth, same type of thing. I use these interventions. It is most effective, like I said, in school with school age children, but also can be used in outpatient therapy, advocacy centers, crisis centers. When I did crisis work, I also did use this intervention. Again, it's just one of those things. It's like you can make a toolbox anywhere. A toolbox can be a bag. I remember using a brown paper bag as my toolbox, wherever you could put your things in, right? So just like pick and play, plug and play, for your coping skills, and give them autonomy to apply them. So the feelings detective activity helps children explore situations that can trigger emotional distress, right? So the child, or in this case, I'll be the child, um, becomes a detective, right? So I'm a detective and I investigate the things, what happened, what they felt, what I feel about the incident, what I did, my actions, and what coping skills will help me for next time, or what could I do different next time. And this coping toolbox component allows for children to create physical representation and give a tangible item to the coping strategies and coping skills. And they can use the modalities of art and materials and toys, and just gives gives that tangible element. Um, so the rationale, right? This intervention is grounded in the CBT, and that suggests that the thoughts influence the emotions, which influence the behavior, right? So children often lack or do not have the skill of the maturity. So maturity is connected to the how they verbalize internal experiences, and allows that to be affected into their play, to their behaviors, to their actions, whether that is positive or negative in whatever setting. So through directive play, children can learn how to recognize cognitive distortions, develop emotional awareness, and practice adaptive coping skills or appropriate coping skills. Research has shown that CBPT effectively reduces anxiety, trauma responses, and behavioral concerns in children. Because it gives them that space to develop those appropriate skills for the setting. So let's go ahead and demonstrate. So I have a Barbie. She's a little dirty, but it's okay. She's here. It's our Barbie. So I'm going to show you how we can. I'm going to show you how we can become feelings detectives today. Detectives help solve mysteries, right? And today we're going to help solve a feelings mystery, right? So we are going to use Barbie, and Barbie is going to tell us and show us, because she can't talk. She's going to show us how she felt when she lost her pants, right? So I might ask the child to draw to draw or to maybe to draw, to color, or show me a color as to how Barbie felt when she lost her pants. So that applies to the situation, the thoughts, what she thought about when she lost her pants, the feelings she felt when she lost her pants, and the behavior. What did Barbie do to regain her pants, or did she just go about her day without her pants? What happened to Barbie, right? And what can Barbie do next time she loses her pants, right? Or spills something on her pants, right? And as a school counselor, I do try to make the scenarios as applicable to school as possible. When small kids, third, fourth, fifth grade, they get really upset over little things like small life stressors. Like, okay, I spilled milk on my pants. Okay, so Barbie spilled milk on her pants. Okay, so does Barbie, hit other friends or take her pants off in the lunchroom? No. What can Barbie do next time when she gets a wet spot on her pants, or she gets spaghetti sauce on her pants? What can Barbie do next time? How does she feel when her pants got dirty, right? Some example prompts might be like, what happened in the store? What happened to Barbie? What happened to Barbie? Where was she? Like, was she at lunch? What was Barbie thinking, right? What feelings did show up for Barbie when she was upset? How did Barbie's body react, or what did she do? Okay. So that is like the feelings detective, or like I'll use a model, right? So we have like this Chef Tiger, right? If he makes a salty soup, right? He makes a salty soup. He messed up in class. He messed up in cooking class, right? What can the striped tiger do next time? So I have like these type of things. I'll kind of use it for like school-based scenarios. Okay. And then we have a box. Amazing box. I made this when I was undergrad, right? So, and I was intern. So, coping skills toolbox. It's called the box. It's been through some things. Okay, so the box, right? So we have a couple things in the box. We have some sticky notes that I've written on. I have a couple basic foundational coping skills. Taking a break. Positive self-talk. That was a big one for my middle school girls. Asking for help. Deep breathing. I typically keep like a little snack in here, maybe a chocolate or like a gummy, one of each. That helps, especially if I'm doing it with a student who has like big episodes. I have a block, right? So if the student says, okay, I want to build, I have a squishy fish. Depending if I'm working with inclusion class or not, we might be near some water. They like that. Apple. Stress ball apple. And then a little mini puzzle. And a slime. Kids go crazy for the slime. So I have a slime in here. But, I recently gave it out because I was using this box. So we have things here. So you can create the toolbox. I created the toolbox when I worked in various settings with clients that I worked with routinely. But since in schools, you just never know who you're going to get. So I just keep a couple stable things in here. So how it will work is a child comes in, crisis, dysregulated, or I'll go to them. Sometimes, child being crisis, I'll go to them with a box, right? And they know this box symbolizes we're going to figure it out. Resolution, coping skill, we're going to get through it, right? We're processing. This is a processing box. So the child, student, upset, having their episode, highs, okay? Screaming, yelling, partially able to tell me and vocalize what happened, what they did, what do they need. That's really what I focus on. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need right now? And then sometimes they'll open the box on their own. The ones who've been working with me for a while, they'll open the box on their own and tell me what they need, right? Do they want some water with the fish? Do they need some sensory, right? Do they need to squeeze? Do they need to squeeze some of that anger out, some of the irritation? Do they need to pump that out? They don't want to build. Do they want to put this irritation or emotion into creativity? Maybe they need a break. Ms. Destiny, I need a break. Okay, that's cool. We can take a break, take a walk, even outside, all the things. Positive self-talk. My middle schoolers, right? They're talking about me. They're saying I'm too fat, I'm stupid, everything like that. Okay, maybe me and you need to sit down and write 10 things you're amazing at. Maybe we need to sit down and think, hey, okay, are the things that they're saying true, right? So it's a couple things in here that they can pick a la carte to identify what they need, and that's my big thing. What do you need? I like to really instill that autonomy into the child and the student. So that's how it works with me with the box. And I found it very interesting that play therapy identifies this because I've been using this since I was an undergrad, so it's really special. It's the same box. This box has held up for years. Okay. So, yeah, I went through how I would use the interventions of the detective, right? The feeling detective and the coping toolbox intervention. These two are really tangible meat and potato interventions that I have used and will continue to use. They're really good. They're cheap. I get a lot of my materials from a thrift store. So I will continue to use these materials moving forward with my students. And obviously, you edit them as the children's needs get higher or the seasons and everything because you want to keep it attractive. These things have to be attractive to the students because if it's not attractive to the students, they don't care. When they're in crisis, they don't care about it. But if it's attractive, hey, I can catch their attention for the 5 seconds, and I can get some of the information I need out of you, and then you can process, even if it's for that 5 seconds, 2 seconds, what do I need? You're able to tell me, vocalize, what do you need, right? So that kind of interrupts the crying, interrupts the yelling, interrupts the throwing things, interrupts biting, spitting, all the things, right? So yes. Like I said, the feelings detective and coping skill box toolbox and is a directive CBPT therapy technique designed to help children identify connections between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And I'm doing this because I did an SEL lesson about that a couple weeks ago with my 4th graders, and I taught them that movement, thoughts, behavior, thoughts, emotions, behaviors. So that's what we did. So now I have to do it when I say that. While the adaptive coping skills through structure, play, and creative expression. Yeah, so we're kind of just putting all the things together. The intervention allows for children to externalize internal experiences through play and art. The activity promotes emotional awareness, cognitive cognitive restructuring, right? So it's like serving the whole child, their needs versus their wants and all the things, and behavior skill development. Play serves as a developmentally appropriate language for children to safely explore distressing experiences while learning regulation strategies, right? So, example, a lot of children that I work with, it is inner city education, right? So it's or urban education. So there is a lot of mimicking behaviors, right? So if a child comes in cursing out girls, if the child comes in just cursing out other girls in his classroom, 9 times out of 10 he's mimicking the behavior that he's seen, right? So in this space, it is a learning and rewiring space. A lot of that is the learning and rewiring that I do, and these interventions help me to get a baseline information about the child. What have they seen? What's going on in the house? It just helps process, develop coping skills, and identify the needs of the child and even the family in most cases. The goals include the goals for both interventions include improving emotional regulation, increasing coping skill utilization, reducing anxiety, behavioral symptoms, behavior episodes. Some of the objectives include helping children identify emotional triggers, recognize maladaptive thought patterns, and practice adaptive coping mechanisms and skills through play and creative expression. The therapist, so my role, right? So my role in this stays a constant. So I am a directive yet supportive role by giving like the guidelines for the activity, modeling the coping skills and strategies, reinforcing the emotional expression, and ensuring there is a safe therapeutic environment. So I'm holding that space, keeping it safe for the student, but so that they feel emotionally safe to express their emotions, rewire and relearn and replace those negative those negative things that they've learned to work. Um, and rebuild positive and appropriate ones for the school setting and just for life in general. The therapist, which is me, also monitors emotional responses and adjusts interventions based on developmental and clinical needs. So, like I said, this I've had really good responses with the toolbox in the various of age groups in the various of settings that I've worked in, the clinical space and in the school space. That's because my trick is to keep it attractive. All the things in here are very attractive to kids. You know, like the hottest kind of like toy out. So I said the slime, right? The little piece of candy, the chocolate, the building, right? Children who have the autism diagnosis, the water plate, the tactileness, the slime, little beads. Keep a little bit of everything in here because then, like I said, the more attractive they are, the more it will cut kind of that crisis and cut that agitation and irritation in them in the episode, so that you can get a little bit of what do I need. And then you give the child the ability. Sometimes the children who don't even have the language, so you kind of give them and model the language. I've been in cases where a child is in crisis or even not in crisis, having a bad day, on the milder side, and I'm holding up a 3. It's kind of representation or representative at my school, the schools I've been at. When I hold up the 3 and you see the toolbox, and you're in a crisis, you're in a mood, whatever. When I hold the 3 up, they know it's I need, and then after you say need, you need to identify something. So it's either you're identifying, you're pointing, or I need, you're going to go in here, or I need, and then you have the language. It's one of those 3 things that you're navigating through, and you're letting me know and other staff know what you need to help you get through this moment and to help you cope. So like I said, these interventions are meat and potato interventions, and they can be used in schools, i.e., what I do here, child advocacy centers and child and crisis response settings, which I did as well, and it's very effective. Materials. I would say you need to go to the thrift store for your materials. Get your things, dolls. Get you a little box. I can't remember where I got this box. Might have been a dollar store, and I've had it for years. It's held up. Get little tangible, attractive things in here, and yeah. And I wrote, like I said, I rotated through the seasons. And thank you so much for watching my video and listening to me rant. Thanks. Bye.